we want so much in our life, whether that's certain person or success or this or that or whatever it is. We want all these things, but we're not willing to isolate ourselves. We're not willing to be alone and work for these things, right? We're never willing for that. We always have to, be so outgoing, or not outgoing, but we always have to express everything and, tell everybody what we're doing or who we're talking to, or I got to be, this, that, and this, we're all over the place. And it's just stress and anxiety, right? But we want this thing so badly. But you're not willing to isolate yourself. That's something I really want to express is isolation is the first step to anything you want. It's very simple. When you isolate yourself, you make yourself better because you learn a lot, you're locked in, you're focused on yourself, right? Those three things is the recipe to success, whether that is. So when you isolate yourself and you put your mind towards something and you go towards that goal, you will succeed. If you isolate yourself, you have to be alone though. And a lot of times when we look for success or, this certain goal, we're not isolating ourselves. We think, let me get my zone. I'm gonna lock in, put my earbuds in. Let me listen to this, music. Let me just grind, go to the field, do my footwork. I'm gonna, be better than this person, all this stuff. But in reality, is that real isolation? Is that? I don't think so. Because that's really not spending time alone. That's not really isolating yourself from everything else. Every other person's doing that, right? Every other person that you are competing with or you are trying to be better than is doing that exact thing, thinking they're more locked in than you. What really separates one person from the other is this right here. It's right there. The mental, the mind part of it. When you really isolate yourself, you spend time alone, no music, no field, no footwork, just you, your thoughts. You can go on a run, you can run sprints, you can just meditate. But as long as you're sitting in your thoughts, no music, nothing, and you're just thinking, that is really what separates good from great, or great from generational. If you can't sit in your thoughts, you're nothing in reality. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but if you can't sit in your thoughts, you can't think for yourself. You can't think for yourself, you can't make decisions. If you can't make decisions, that's just not going to go good for you. You're not going to be, good for the person in your life. You're not going to be good for anything that's down the road for you, success, job, whatever it is, right? So we have to learn to isolate ourselves and almost sit in our thoughts in a way. I think the biggest thing is understanding, when you were in your thoughts, it could be good or bad, right? And when I mean the sit in our thoughts, I'm not thinking or saying of the way of let me sit in my thoughts, let me think about my entire day and what happened to me, all this stuff. No. That's not what I mean by sit in our thoughts. I mean, sit there, think about your goal, visualize it, understand what do I want? What has happened in my life to get me to this point? What are the challenges? What have I gone through? What can I do to be better? What am I leaving out? What about me is stopping me? Am I talking too much? Am I, going out too much, drinking, whatever it is? What am I doing that's still holding me back from that goal? Right? And it's simple. Everyone knows the answer when they finally sit down and they think about it. That's a big thing. And you have to understand that isolating yourself is the only way you find out who you are as a person. A lot of times we see, in the common world is, especially with young men, is they'll go through something, rough in their life and they learn to isolate themselves after it and they become a whole new person. And that's just a great thing to see. I mean, it's not a good thing to see them go through hurt, but it's a good thing to see them, isolate themselves, become a better person and become successful in the end. That's a great thing. And a lot of times we also see people who choose the other route. They get hurt and they choose to, drink, party, go chase girls or guys or whatever it is and continue that cycle, and they never get better because they'll never think for themselves. They'll never, mature. They'll never do anything like that. And that's sad. But the whole point of isolation is separating yourself from really reality in a whole. It's taking reality right here, and this is you, right? You're together, you're one. And putting yourself here. This is reality, this is you. And understanding that you need to be here for a while for you to get back to here. Right? Because when you're not in your own reality, or when you are in your own reality, not the actual reality, that's where success is built. That's where you're delusional. That's where you have dreams and aspirations. And that's where no one can tell you that you can't do it. And nothing can discourage you. And all you can do is push yourself a little bit further every single day until you hit that successful point. Right? This plays with anything in life. Sports, relationships, money, job, success, anything in life this plays into. You have to put yourself aside and be different. Because if this is the reality, this is the common person, and you continue to stay common, you're going to stay right here. But the people that are looked at as weird or not normal are right here. And these people are the people that are going to be here in life, while these people are going to be right here in life. It's that simple. Being the common person is not good. Isolating yourself, changing, becoming better, locking in, chasing your dreams and aspirations, finding that mental part of you to where you can break that mental barrier when you need to, or you can know that you're mentally stronger than the person that you're trying to compete with, and that you will push yourself the extra mile, is how you know you're going to be successful. Just because you sat time alone, you took time to yourself, you isolated yourself. That's a huge thing that no one does. No one does. A lot of people, think, let me go to the field. Let me just grind. Let me do this and that. And this is going to be my success story. That's not true. Because I guarantee you, there's a million people out there thinking just like you. But you're thinking to yourself, let me go meditate. Let me really find my mental state. Let me find, where's my mental barrier? What's stopping me from going the extra mile? Or, where's my mind at? Where's my manifestation level? Where's my prayer level? Where's my meditation? Where's all these extra things in life? Then you realize, I'm really far behind. There's people out there that are way better than me. And then you really start to think, who am I as a person? Who am I in life? And then you realize how much farther you are from that non-average person and from the people that are up here. And that's when the whole cycle begins, this life-changing analogy or life-changing moment that literally puts your life on a different trajectory completely. This is at a different time for almost everyone. It happened to me at a very, random time that I wasn't expecting. It happens to everyone differently. But the truth is, you just have to understand, being so out there and so with the crew, the group or the crowd is not for your success. Because if you go to the right, you could think locked in hard work is going to get you somewhere, right? You can do that, and then you can go drink, and then you can go party, and then you can go do all these things. And then this locked in work just means nothing. Not necessarily nothing, but it's depreciating it almost, because the person that didn't go out and party and they decided to sit in their thoughts or isolate themselves a little bit more and grind a little bit more on something else or towards their success is going to beat you out. It's that simple. It's that simple. So when are you going to learn to isolate yourself? When is isolation going to hit you? Because that shit is hard. And I'm being completely honest. I've been talking about isolation this whole video and how to do it and what it looks like. But the reason no one really isolates themselves is because when they try to, it's too fucking hard and they just give up immediately. It's that simple. This shit is hard. It's lonely. It's lonely as fuck. You have to really understand that when you sit in that room alone or you sit in darkness alone, you get into that dark, thought process of where, you really think to yourself, I'm that fucking guy. I'm really going to beat everyone out. But it's almost cynical in a way. You have to understand, it's dark and it gets lonely. Gets sad, it gets depressing, but you really got to push through it and really just grind until you get to that success or that goal. This is not how you live your entire life. There's aspects of my life where I'm not isolated, where I'm enjoying my life. But 95% of the time, I'm really in that zone, just locked in, just really focusing on me and myself and my goals. And that's where you have to be. I get told I'm not going to do this or that every single day. I have people make fun of me. So what? So what? That's not what I, put my energy towards because I don't need to hear that. That's outside noise. That's the common people talking. Me right here, I don't need to, listen to these people because they're not in my reality. They're so far from my reality, it doesn't even bother me. So that's what isolation is. You have to learn to isolate yourself if you want true success or whatever it is. But if you have a goal in mind or something in mind, you have to understand that isolation is the answer to whatever you want.